donut battery, which is the world's first solid-state battery used in production vehicles. A very simple pack architecture, very few components, air cooling, and still performance levels and charge speeds that have never been possible before.
A battery that lasts longer than a human life sounds like science fiction, yet that is exactly what was unveiled at CES. I went in skeptical because bold numbers are cheap and reality is not. But the company behind it, Donut Lab, already ships power motors in real vehicles, so the claim cannot be ignored. They say this new cell charges in minutes, works in brutal cold and heat, and survives 100,000 cycles. If true, it could push electric machines past gas cars in range and durability. So I walked the booth, chased details, and followed every clue. The claim. The buzz around the booth was real. I kept hearing the same headline numbers repeated by engineers, visitors, and curious executives drifting in from other stands. The spec sheet read like a wish list. About 400 watt-hours per kilogram, full charge in 5 minutes, a working range from -30 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius, and materials described as abundant and non-toxic. Then came the big one. A promised life of 100,000 cycles. Even with rough math and a conservative usable window, that points to tens of millions of miles of energy throughput. In other words, a battery you might pass down like an heirloom. No wonder the booth staff said they logged hundreds of serious inquiries on day one. People were not asking about cool demo lights. They were asking about supply chains, safety tests, warranty terms, and when they could buy it. That level of attention usually only lands on something that is either truly disruptive or dangerously overhyped. Because Donut Lab has real products in the field, I treated it as potentially disruptive. Still, numbers this extreme do not get a free pass. They demand a trail of evidence. And that trail starts with chemistry, manufacturing, and data. Why solid state matters. Before digging into their device, it helps to remember why solid-state batteries attract so much hope. In a normal lithium-ion cell, ions move through a liquid electrolyte. That liquid is effective, but it also limits how far you can push the design. Solid-state designs swap the liquid for a solid electrolyte. If that solid blocks needle-like growths called dendrites, it can allow a lithium metal anode. Lithium metal stores far more charge than the graphite used in most cells today. So, in theory, you get higher energy density and better safety. The catch is that solid electrolytes can be hard to manufacture at scale, hard to keep in perfect contact with electrodes, and hard to cycle for long periods without cracks or resistance rising. Some early solid-state cells exist, but many behave more like advanced lithium-ion than a total leap. That is why Donut Lab's numbers felt so extreme. They were claiming top-tier energy density, ultra-fast charging, plus a cycle life that is not just better, but almost off the chart. Those three goals usually fight each other. Fast charging stresses interfaces. High energy density pushes materials close to their limits. Long life requires gentle conditions and stable structures. So I went looking for signs of how they could break that trade-off triangle. What I saw on the stand. Up close, the first surprise was not a surprise at all. The cells and modules on display looked clean, but they were clearly 3D printed mock-ups. That matters, because many serious battery teams will show real cells, even if they cannot share full recipes. Mock-ups make it harder to verify size, mass, and thermal hardware. Conversations were also guarded. Staff would discuss benefits and targets, yet they would not describe the chemistry or the manufacturing line. Those are the two levers that decide whether a battery is real, scalable, and affordable, so the silence stood out. Still, bits leaked through. I overheard that the current format is a pouch cell, mainly because pouches are the quickest path to market. Then came an odd claim. The same tech could be made into prismatic forms, or almost any form at all. One representative pointed at a drone and said the body itself could be the battery, even with an irregular shape. He pushed it further and joked that it could be shaped like a snowflake. That detail sounds small, but it hints at how the internals are built. Most lithium-ion cells use a jelly roll, where layers are wound like a Swiss roll. Solid electrolytes do not like bending, and ceramic versions can crack. If you can truly make any shape, you are probably stacking thin layers and pressing them, not winding them. I also heard their factories would be modular, with a first plant in Finland, and talk of scaling from about 1 gigawatt hour to around 10 gigawatt hours. For a small company, that is a huge leap. The charging clues. A video loop at the booth became my best source of hard information. It showed test data that staff insisted was genuine. The cell was charged at about 4 volts and 270 amps, a little over 1 kilowatt of input power. And that input appeared to hold steady from roughly 5% to 80% state of charge. If the cell capacity was around 125 watt-hours, that points to a very high C rate. To go from low charge to high charge in about 5 minutes, you are talking about something in the ballpark of 10 C or more. That does line up with their fast charge claim, but the shape of the curve did not. In most batteries, the current tapers as the cell approaches a voltage limit. You usually see a constant current phase, then a constant voltage phase where current drops. Here, it looked like constant current and constant voltage were held together, which is not how electric vehicle packs are normally charged. Then I noticed another detail. The system listed a max charge voltage of 4.2 volts, a number that screams lithium-ion chemistry, because many common lithium cells top out near that value. I confronted the team with that clue, expecting a simple confirmation that lithium was involved. Instead, they flatly said there was no lithium anywhere in the system. They claimed 4.2 volts was chosen to act as a drop-in replacement, and that the cell voltage could be tuned to whatever the customer needed, within reason. That is a strange statement for a conventional battery, because chemistry usually sets the voltage, not the marketing team. It made me rethink what I was looking at. The Finland Trail. The Finnish detail kept nagging at me, so I followed it. Donut Lab's public investment trail points toward a Finnish startup called Nordic Nano, which describes work in renewable energy, nanotechnology, solar harvesting, storage, and hydrogen applications. In a publicly shared pitch deck, Nordic Nano talks about screen printing techniques, thin films, and designs intended for harsh environments. The language is full of clues. Moldable films, non-toxic materials, and energy devices that can be printed into unusual shapes. That mirrors what I was told at the booth about batteries that can fit a drone body or any geometry you can imagine. One slide in particular stood out because it did not describe a classic battery at all. It described a bipolar electrostatic capacitor. The slide paired that term with numbers that look eerily familiar. Energy density up to about 400 watt-hours per kilogram, and cycle life beyond 50,000 cycles. If those slides reflect what Donut Lab is building, the story shifts. A solid-state battery may be a label used because it stores energy in a solid device, not because it uses battery chemistry. Capacitors can handle huge cycle counts and rapid charging because they store energy through electric fields, rather than slow chemical reactions. That would help explain the any shape claim too, because printed layers and stacked structures fit the capacitor world very well. The puzzle is the energy density. Real commercial capacitors are nowhere near 400 watt-hours per kilogram, so either this is a genuine leap, or the terms and numbers are being stretched beyond what engineers normally mean: battery or capacitor. At this point, my working theory became simple. The device behaves more like a capacitor than a battery. That would make the huge cycle life feel plausible, and 5-minute charging far less shocking. It could also fit the any shape claim, because printed layers and stacked structures suit that world. But the hardest part remains the promised energy density. To match modern packs, a capacitor would need a jump that borders on unbelievable without clear, third-party validation. The charging graph still bothers me too. In most systems, the control strategy shifts as the device fills, yet the booth video suggested steady numbers across a wide state of charge window. Maybe there is a good explanation, but without full context, it reads more like a controlled demo than a road-ready protocol. So where does that leave us? Somewhere between excitement and caution. I also cannot ignore the human factor. I know skilled engineers tied to Donut Lab's motor work, and people like that do not sign up for obvious fiction. If this turns out to be wrong, the likeliest path is confusion between a supplier and a product brand, or a misunderstanding that got amplified into marketing. The next real checkpoint is hardware in the wild. Their tech is expected to appear in production electric motorcycles, where teardown experts will quickly inspect what is inside. When that happens, the truth will stop being a rumor. What I saw at CES was not proof of a miracle, but it was not an empty booth. The claims are bold, and the missing details around chemistry and manufacturing keep the skepticism alive. Still, the clues point to a solid, stacked energy device that may sit closer to a new kind of capacitor than a classic battery. If that is true, it could reshape drones, tools, and vehicles in ways we have not planned for. Next comes the part that matters: independent tests and teardowns. Until then, treat the hype carefully, and keep your eyes on data, not slogans.